It's no longer Steve Rogers. It's no longer the golden age of Marvel. And yet, the shield flies again. Captain America Brave New World arrives not with a thunderous anticipation of Endgame, but with cautious curiosity. Can Marvel still move us? Can the franchise still stand for something bigger than spectacle? Anthony Mackie now wears the stars and stripes, but this isn't just a costume swap, it's a recalibration. A new cap for a new world. And that world, far more complicated, cynical, and fractured than ever before. The film knows it. You can film it in a tone, less triumphant, more tense, less about legacy, more about identity. From the opening scene, Brave New World makes one thing clear. This isn't your older brother's Marvel. The film opens not with a quip or cosmic battle, but with something quieter, a political unrest, racial tension, and the burden of becoming a symbol in a world that no longer believes in symbol. That's bold, that's real. But does it work? Let's find out. There was a time when Captain America stood for unshakable ideals, truth, justice, the American way. But in Brave New World, patriotism isn't a virtue, it's a liability. The film leans into the discomfort. Sam Wilson's Captain America is asked not just to fight for America, but to explain it, justify it, fix it. That's an enormous narrative load. And to its credit, the script doesn't shy away from the complexity, it confronts it head on. There's a key early scene where Sam faces a room full of global leaders not as a superhero, but as political symbol. It's tense, it's uncomfortable, and it says more about our world than most Marvel movies ever did. But complexity alone isn't enough. Can the film juggle all this weight and still entertain? Marvel has many talents, but writing compelling villains hasn't always been one of them. Brave New World doesn't break that course. Without diving into spoiler territory, let's just say this. The antagonists feel more like walking metaphors than actual threats. They represent fear, power abuse, nationalism gone wrong. All interesting on paper, but in practice, they lack charisma, they lack presence. This weakens the stakes. You don't fear what the heroes are up against. You understand it, maybe even respect the themes. But fear, suspense, not quite. Still, the flaw doesn't kill the film, because something unexpected picks up the slack, and we'll get to that soon. Let's talk action, the bread and butter of superhero cinema. In A Brave New World, the set pieces are competent. That's the best word for it. Fist fights are grounded, choreography is sharp, and Sam Wilson flight sequences remain thrilling, especially with the addition of new tech. One scene about the desert at dusk, pure visual poetry. But here's the issue. We've seen better, not bigger necessarily, just bolder. There's so little in the actions that define the genre of Wraith the Bar. In a post-Infinity War world, that's a tall order, but still, we expect more than just clean hits and controlled explosion. What is refreshing though? The focus on physicality. Sam isn't a god. He's a man in a suit, and every hit feels like it costs him. That vulnerability saves the action from becoming background noise. Sam Wilson is not Steve Rogers, and that's the point. But does the film let him be his own man? The script tries. It hands Sam moral dilemmas, political weight, and internal conflict. We see him question power structures, confront inequality, and wrestle with what the shield actually means. His monologues aren't speeches, they are battles with himself. And yet, there's hesitation in the writing, moments where it feels like the movie wants to go bold, but pulls back, afraid to alienate, afraid to offend. Still, when Anthony Mackie is given space to breathe, he delivers. His quiet rage, his weary hope, his unwillingness to posture like Rogers did. All of it forms a compelling modern Captain America not as a symbol, but as a man trying to be one. A superhero movie is only as strong as its supporting cast, and Brave New World gave us mixed results. Let's start with Isaiah Bradley. Every second Carl Lumbly is on the screen feels earned. He brings gravitas, history, and pain. reminding us that super soldier serum doesn't erase the scars of real-world injustice. His dynamic with Sam is an emotional anchor this film desperately needed more of. But then we have Thunderbolt Ross and President Ritson, whose presence feel more like MCU table setting on the organic storytelling, and the new antagonists, interesting on paper, but underdeveloped in accusation. You'll remember the ideology, maybe, not the name. There's also Joaquin Torres, the new Falcon, full of energy, but still treated like comic relief more than a future lead. That's fine for now, okay, but if the MCU is banking on a new generation, they need to write them like they matter now. Visually, Brave New World tries to straddle two worlds, political thriller and comic book spectacle. Cinematographer Kramer Morgenthau leans into grittier textures, lots of handheld shots, colder color palettes, shadow that actually mean something. It's a far cry for the glossy sheen of early MCU entries, and it works sometimes. But then the CGI shows up like an uninvited guest at a serious dinner party. Fight scenes? Mostly solid. Explosions? Hit or miss. Some green screen moments, especially in the third act, pulled you out at the moment rather than deeper it. That's a shame, because when the movie embraces realism, it hits harder. Washington DC under lockdown, crowds protesting, paranoia in the air, that the kind of atmosphere not lingers. That's the kind of atmosphere that lingers. Visually, the film aims for the Winter Soldier vibe and occasionally brushes up against them, but it doesn't fully commit. Like much of this movie, it's caught between what it was and what it could be. Music in superhero films used to define the moment. Think of bombastic horns in The Avengers or that iconic Wheel Soldier metallic scream. Here, the score feels like it's trying to stay out of the way. Henry Jackman returns, and he brings a few callbacks to the eerie Cap films, but the motifs are fleeting, subdued, almost unsure of themselves. It's as if soundtracks is waiting for the movie to give the permission to be bold. Never fully happens. That's not to say there aren't moments. There are. The quiet piano cues during Isaiah's scenes work emotionally, and there's tension in the drum work during action build-ups. But overall, the music played safe when this film needed something memorable, something that tells us this is Sam Wilson's America now. Let's talk about the elephant in the Oval Office. This film is political. But not in the preachy way people fear, more in the timid way that keeps it from cutting deep. Sam Wilson as Captain America is a living paradox, a black man carrying the shield in a country that still struggles with equality. And the film knows this. It brings up the systematic mistrust, surveillance, immigration, and global instability, but it often stops short of doing anything bold with those themes. Yes, there's a commentary. Yes, Sam gives speeches. But sometimes it feels like the movie is scared of its own ideas. It raises vital questions, then cuts to an explosion before we get to uncomfortable. Still, the attempt matters. And for younger audiences especially, seeing a hero talk about rebuilding trust, not just punching wheels, might leave a lasting impact. It's not subtle, but it's trying. And maybe that's where a brave new world begins. You can almost feel the checklist behind the action scene. Car chase? Check. Rooftop fight? Check. Final boss in the sky? Of course, check. But here's the scene. While the stunt choreography is tight and the camera work is mostly clean, there's a lack of weight. In The Winter Soldier, every punch mattered. Here, they look good, but feel disposable. Sam's flight-based combat has real potential, and there are moments, like a mid-air rescue sequence, that nearly soar, but it's never as creative or intimate as could be. Compare that to how Falcon and the Winter Soldier frame close combat, this feels like a downgrade. Even the climatic battle feels like a remix of better Marvel finales, only this time with less urgency. The action he moves, but it rarely moves you. Marvel movies used to make you feel like the world might actually end, not just because of the villain's plan, but because the emotional cost was real. Here, the world is at risk, but stakes never feel personal. This is a major attack teased early on, but the film rushes through its consequences. Cities are under threat, leaders disappear, but we rarely sit in it. We don't feel the pressure of collapse. We don't feel the urgency of Sam's decision. And the weirdest part, some of the best scenes are the smallest ones. Quiet conversations, friction between friends, a moment of doubt. The film tries to be a geopolitical thriller, but shines most when it just let characters breathe. In trying to be big, it forgets that scale isn't just about scope. It's about connection. You'd think a movie called Brave New World would look bold, distant, memorable, but visually, this film plays it too safe. The color palette leans heavily into muted grays, metallic blues, and desaturated greens. It's functional, even polished, but never inspired. There's a little visual identity here. It could be any Marvel movie from the past 5 years. That signature texture that once separated the Winter Soldier from the rest, gone. And the cinematography, while competent, rarely take risks. Few wide shots linger, few close-up feel earned. It's all paces to match a Marvel machine, but that comes at the cost of visual soul. In the costume design, while upgraded, like the cinematic pop, Sam's suit should scream hope, symbol, future, but it whispers clean, but forgettable. Sam Wilson's journey is about wearing the stars and stripes, it's about redefining them. The movie teases this theme. How does a black man carry a symbol built in a different era? What does patriotism mean when the country is fractured? This is a powerful question. And the film, to its credit, asks them, but does truly explore them. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. There are sharp moments, a political conversation that nearly cuts deep, a quiet monologue about responsibility, but they are too brief, as the film is afraid to stay in those uncomfortable places. Still, there's something undeniably powerful about seeing Sam try, about watching him choose to carry that weight, not because the world is simple, but because he knows it's not. That's where the real Captain America lives, not in victory, but in struggle. Marvel's new era. Evolution or erosion? Let's not pretend this is just about one movie. Brave New World is a symptom of Marvel's larger identity crisis. The multiverse saga diluted emotional stakes. Characters come, go, and resurrect faster than you can blink. Legacy gets passed like a button, but rarely earned. Here Sam Wilson tries, truly, to bring Wade back to the shield, but he's trapped in a formula. Let's be fair, not everything is broken. Anthony Mackie gives him most grounded performance as Sam. He brings empathy, struggle, and clarity to a character often trapped behind CGI and quips. His scenes with Isaiah Bradley and the younger Falcon are some of the strongest in the film. The soundtrack, blending subtle Americana with modern urgency, work beautiful in key moments, and there are action beats, especially the third act aerial sequence, that show flashes of what could have been if more risk were taken. And the theme? It matters. The idea that symbols are empty unless we fill them with meaning, that's timeless. The movie doesn't always land a punch, but at least it aims at the right targets. This is still a beating heart here. You just have to listen between the explosion. Final verdict. A new captain, a familiar struggle. So, what do we make of Brave New World? It's not a disaster, but it's not a triumph either. It sits in that awkward Marvel middle ground. Watchable, but forgettable. Well acted, but underwritten. Ambitious, but restrained. Yes, because Sam Wilson's Captain America deserves this chapter, even as the written falters, even if the structure groans. His journey reflects our trying to find meaning in the chaotic world, trying to carry something bigger than ourselves, even when the weight feels impossible. And for a few scenes, in silence, in struggle, in doubt, the movie remembers it. Is it a brave new world? Not quite. But maybe it's a start. But maybe it's enough. Would you like new Captain America? Tell us in the comments. Thank you for joining me in this review. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, and of course subscribe. I truly appreciate every one of you. Let's make movie reviews not just informative, but truly beautiful and engaging together. This was Amello. I'll be seeing you in the next video. Ta-da!